Breaking tonight, don't go in the water. That warning to millions of Americans as Hurricane Erin barrels up the East Coast. Monster waves pounding the eastern seaboard. Aerial video of neighborhoods flooded out as storm surge rushes in. Dangerous rip currents at beaches stretching from North Carolina to Maine. The major risk at high tide tonight. Our Bill Cairns standing by. Also breaking, campus shooting scare. Students running at Villanova University after false reports of an active shooter. What we're learning tonight. President Trump's major legal victory, a divided appeals court throwing out the $500 million fine in his civil fraud case, plus the new crackdown on the 55 million visa holders in this country. The closely watched parole hearing for Eric Menendez, his brother Lyle facing the board tomorrow, 36 years after murdering their parents. Do they have a chance of walking free? An advisor of New York Mayor Eric Adams suspended after handing a reporter a potato chip bag stuffed with cash. That reporter joins Top Story Live to explain what went down. And good evening. Tonight, Hurricane Erin's fury pounding the coastline with dangerous surf and tropical storm winds. Right now, the worst of the flooding making its way on shore. Take a live look at the extremely rough surf in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. Video from Virginia showing these monster waves as well, barreling into the boardwalk. This man doing what officials are strongly advising against, going in those life-threatening waters. Houses along North Carolina's Outer Banks feeling Erin's wrath as that storm surges and it charges inland. Aerials showing ocean water and piles of sand pushed into neighborhoods. At this hour, similar scenes all up and down the coast, from North Carolina to Ocean City, Maryland to Seaside Heights. Millions warned to stay off the beaches until the danger subsides. But some surfers are not heeding those warnings, instead embracing those massive swells. This hurricane still on its trek north. Bill Cairns, you know he's standing by for us to time out, including when we could finally see some calm. But we want to start with NBC's Erin Gilchrist, who's live in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, as Erin's intensity is being felt. Erin, walk us through what you're feeling there.
Well, Tom, the wind has died down a little bit, but I'll tell you, the wave action here really hasn't let up much. We were standing on the beach for much of the day here, and then the waves just got stronger, started coming farther and farther up the beach, so we had to move our team into the dunes here to be in a safe spot from these intense waves that have been much closer, and in some moments tonight, more intense than what we saw earlier in the day, and that really is reinforcing the message from officials here that the water is still not safe. On North Carolina's Outer Banks, the impacts of Hurricane Erin seen in these storm surges bringing floodwaters onto hard-hit Hatteras Island. Waves crashing high onto the stilts, propping up homes right on the shoreline. Water flooding in as neighborhood streets are washed out, even as crews are already out by the beaches to repair flattened sand dunes. Video from the now closed-off Hatteras Island showing a rising ocean punching right through sand dunes. Steve Nelson owns a hotel on the island, now a safe haven for residents who didn't follow evacuation orders.
It has withstood Category 3s. We built it and engineered it to withstand a Category 4. May we never test that? We can last about 6 weeks without anything from the outside.
Victoria Murray did evacuate Hatteras with her kids, moving their vacation to Kill Devil Hills.
We are avoiding the beach, we are avoiding the water. We've been thankful that we haven't experienced any power outages, but we were prepared for that just in case.
I'm worried about losing my beach houses, yes.
96-year-old Carol White Dillon, who we met yesterday inside the evacuation area, rode out the worst of the storm. We spoke again tonight.
And how are you feeling today?
I'm tired, emotional, but it could have been worse. I could have lost those two buildings that the water was hitting.
Double red flags still posted all along the Outer Banks, a warning to stay out of the water. The Category 2 hurricane with a wind field larger than Hurricane Katrina remains hundreds of miles from the coast. Its winds tonight impacting the Northeast from the Jersey Shore to southern New England. Streets flooded on Long Beach Island in New Jersey, where the governor today declared a state of emergency in anticipation of Erin's wrath. Lifeguards patrolling the beaches to make sure there are no swimmers.
They're bummed that they can't be out on the beach.
All right, Erin joins us again live. Erin, you know, we've seen in your live shots, there are people that are still out there walking the beach or hanging out. This happens in every storm. What are officials saying there is the biggest risk, and people obviously not listening to them?
It's really strange to see, Tom. I got to tell you, there is one guy on a surfboard in the ocean right now. We've been watching him for the last 15 or 20 minutes. Yeah, he's still out there on that surfboard. I haven't seen him stand up yet. There are also people over here sort of playing a game of chicken with the waves as they're coming in, standing on the beach, walking right up to the edge of the water, and then running back when the waves come in, pushing them essentially right up against the dunes here. Officials have told everybody that they should stay out of the water. That is the message that's come from officials here in Dare County. But as you noted, there are some people who are going to come to the edge of the dunes, take some pictures, go to their balconies here at the hotel, take some pictures, and others who are just being a little more risky. Yeah, it's not a game I'd want to play, Tom.
It always happens. All right, Erin Gilchrist, we thank you for being there for us. Let's get back here in the studio. NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, walk us through. It's sort of interesting, right? The hurricane's moving away from the U.S., but we're now feeling all the effects of it.
Yeah, it's been this way all along. We were expecting the worst coastal flooding now, this evening, as the storm was exiting. I'll explain why in a second. But I'm trying to get a sense of, like, is it underachieving, overachieving? How is our flooding going? And Erin just hit high tide, and you can see the water didn't even make it to the dunes. So that's great news for the Outer Banks. I've also been watching other gauges up the coast. Atlantic City, you just hit high tide, and your water levels were a foot below predicted. Fantastic. But other areas, in like northern New Jersey, Sandy Hook, you're at predictions. So it's kind of a mixed bag out there so far. Early results, this high tide will continue probably till about 9:30, and then the water will all start going down. And this will be the highest water levels you're going to see with Erin. So once we get through this evening, each high tide cycle after this will be lower. And so if you don't do a lot of damage tonight, you're pretty much in the clear. So the storm is racing away. That's the good news. But the northeast wind has been battering us all day, and that doesn't allow the water to escape. So you got this northeast wind hitting into the Chesapeake, the Potomac, the Outer Banks, and the water just piles up, as we go throughout the day. It's a huge storm. Hurricane Center, by the way, said it's 90th percentile. So it's one of the bigger hurricanes you'll ever see. And though the wind gusts are still gusty, even though the storm is now racing 400 miles off the coast, and that's helping with this high tide to keep it a little higher than normal. Plus, with this astronomical high tide tonight, it was supposed to be high anyways. So we have a storm surge of about 2 to 3 feet. We add that to the high tide that was expected, and that's why we're expecting significant coastal flooding. We're waiting to see just how bad this develops in the next 2 hours or so, but this was the predictions. And so obviously, in the, as we go throughout the next hour or two, if we don't start seeing pictures of anything too bad, it means maybe we got more lucky than anything else. Regardless, it's going to be sunny tomorrow. A lot of people are going to want to go in the water. These waves are still huge. Rip currents are still a big risk. It's going to be very dangerous, Tom, throughout the next couple of days up and down the East Coast.
It's a good reminder. All right, Bill, we thank you for that. We want to turn now to politics and the major legal victory for President Trump. An appeals court overturning roughly $500 million civil judgment against him in the state of New York. Gabe Gutierrez is going to break it all down for us.
Law enforcement, he's deployed to the streets of D.C., touting progress in his crackdown on crime.
We've had some incredible results. It's like a different place. It's like a different city. It's the capital.
All of it as the president is celebrating a major legal victory with a New York appeals court throwing out a roughly $500 million civil judgment against him.
I had a victory today. They stole $550 million from me with a fake case, and it was overturned. They said this was a fake case. It's a terrible thing, but that's a nice victory, I mean, it's not bad.
The 5-judge appeals court was deeply divided. 2 said Trump was correctly found guilty of fraud. 2 said he should receive a new trial, and the 5th judge said the case against Trump should be dismissed. All 5 concluded the penalty against Trump was excessive and violated the 8th Amendment. One judge writing, while harm certainly occurred, it was not the cataclysmic harm that can justify a nearly $500 million award to the state.
It was a witch hunt, and I've had more witch hunts than any human being, I think, in history.
The ruling's a huge blow for New York Attorney General Letitia James, a Democrat who brought the case in 2022, accusing Trump and his family real estate business of inflating his net worth to get better terms on loans. James plans to appeal, and she highlights the ruling that Trump committed fraud still stands, writing yet another court has ruled that the president violated the law and that our case has merit. It all comes as the Trump Justice Department investigates James, both for bringing this case and for new allegations she committed mortgage fraud. An attorney for James has called the investigations political retribution.
All right, Gabe Gutierrez joins us tonight. Gabe, I know you have some more reporting on another headline coming out of the White House. The 55 million people, roughly, that have visas in the U.S. There's news about them tonight?
Yeah, that's right, Tom. According to a State Department official, all U.S. visa holders are subject to continuous vetting, even after being admitted to the United States. Now, as you mentioned, right now there are more than 55 million foreigners with valid U.S. visas here, and those visas could be revoked at any time for potential ineligibility, including indicators of overstays, criminal activity, threats to public safety, also engaging in any form of terrorist activity, or providing support to a terrorist organization. That's according to that State Department official. Now, the Trump administration has already revoked twice as many visas as the Biden administration did for the same period last year. Tom?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez. Gabe, we thank you for that. We are following a bit of breaking news out of Villanova University. You may have heard about this. Reports of an active shooter sparking panic, but the school tonight says the incident was a, quote, cruel hoax. Video shows the chaotic moments people ran to take cover during an outdoor welcome mass for new students on the campus near Philadelphia. Students told to lock and barricade their doors for more than an hour. Now the university's president writing in a letter to students there was no active shooter and no injuries. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro tweeting the incident was a result of a cruel swatting incident when someone calls in a fake threat to induce panic, adding state police are working to find the person responsible. Okay. We're going to turn now to California, and officials there will soon decide whether to grant the Menendez brothers parole. It's the first time they're eligible since they were convicted of murdering their parents more than 3 decades ago. NBC's Liz Kreutz is watching those developments closely tonight for us.
Tonight, the Menendez brothers waiting to learn their fate. Eric Menendez sitting before the California Parole Board ahead of his older brother Lyle's hearing tomorrow.
I just know that on a day like today, that redemption is possible.
Earlier this year, a judge reduced Eric and Lyle's sentences, making them eligible for parole for the first time since they were convicted of killing their parents, Jose and Kitty, in their Beverly Hills home 36 years ago.
Defendants, please rise.
Their story recently thrust back into the spotlight following the popular Netflix series Monsters. At today's hearing, Eric joining virtually from his prison outside San Diego, during which a panel of commissioners are expected to be questioning him about the crimes and his record in prison, and also looking at tens of thousands of pages of prison records, as well as a psychological risk assessment conducted about the brothers. According to the LA District Attorney, psychologists determined they have a moderate risk of violence, finding Eric remains vulnerable to the influence of others, including his brother, Lyle, who they described as narcissistic and antisocial. During their high-profile trials in the 90s, the brothers were viewed as entitled and greedy young men who killed their parents for money. But Eric and Lyle have long maintained they acted in self-defense after years of sexual abuse by their father. And a new generation of supporters, as well as their parents' own surviving siblings, have been pleading for their release.
The whole world was not ready to believe boys could be raped or that young men could be victims of sexual violence. Today we know better. We know that abuse has long-lasting effects.
Tonight, the board expected to soon decide whether to grant Eric parole, a consequential decision that could pave the way for the brothers' freedom.
Okay, Liz Kreutz joins us outside the prison where Eric is being held right now. So this hearing appears to be going on for hours. Any sense of when we might get a decision, Liz, or what's going on right now?
Yeah, Tom, this hearing has been going on, as far as we know now, for more than 7 hours. And for perspective, the average state parole hearing lasts about 2 to 3 hours. So this is several times longer than that. We do expect that part of this hearing may also include statements that will be given from the victims' family members, which, as you know, is unique to this case. The victims' family members are also the relatives of the Menendez brothers who are then calling for their release. We do expect, Tom, that a ruling will be made today. The parole board will make their decision by the end of the day, which means we'll likely know Eric's fate before Lyle's hearing tomorrow. Tom.
Okay, Liz Kreutz, I know you'll be standing by for us. We appreciate that. For more as we wait on the fate of Eric Menendez, let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas once again. Danny, Liz broke it down there for us. It's usually 2 hours. We're going on 7 hours. Can we read anything into that?
Probably because this is a high-profile case. And the general rule is you take the rule book, you take the standard application of the rules, and you throw them all out the window when you're talking about a high-profile case. They're going to scrutinize the records more than I think they would in the ordinary parole case because they know the eyes of the world are watching. That may be why this is taking so long. Also, there are a lot of contested issues. The DA's office is opposing this bid for parole, and you have an unusual situation where family members, as Liz just pointed out, the family members are both of the victims and the Menendez brothers, and some of them are supporting their release. Although I have to stress, that's probably the least important category of information. The most important is how they've been in prison. Are they rehabilitated? Do they take responsibility? And then, of course, the DA's position is important.
I do want to ask you this because this is important. Both brothers, in an effort to get the parole, were evaluated and deemed a moderate risk. What does that mean?
You know, when it comes to classification, whether it's Bureau of Prisons or in the California Department of Corrections, they classify folks based on a structure or a formula, and it doesn't always yield. I mean, to some degree, they're in prison for essentially life sentences now somewhat shortened. However, that's the kind of classification you could expect for a violent offender like that. You're not going to get a low to minimum security type classification for them just based on their crime of conviction.
What's the most important thing that they're looking at? Is it that they've been rehabilitated or that they may kill again?
With an asterisk, I would say it's have they been rehabilitated? Because I say that most parole boards have to deal with people who are saying all the right things, but are they being genuine?
Yeah.
And that's something they have to try and sift through by looking at the documents and really assessing their demeanor and figuring out who these people really are. Is it a perfect process? Absolutely not. Is the safer thing to just deny parole? Well, in about 70% of California parole cases, that's exactly what they do, is deny it. So the odds are against them statistically walking into this hearing.
Danny Savalas for us. Danny, always great to have you. We thank you. We're going to take a turn now. We're going to head overseas to the rare drone and missile attack on western Ukraine. The latest Russian attack far from the front lines, injecting further uncertainty on the U.S.-led effort to broker a peace deal. NBC's Richard Engel has the report from the ground.
Russia launched a ferocious barrage of hundreds of drones and missiles across Ukraine, the most intense assault in weeks. Many of the attacks were far from the front lines, setting huge fires around Odessa and burning homes in Lviv. Ukraine has air defenses. They were active over Kyiv. But when Russia fires so many drones over a wide area, they're difficult to stop. The Russian attacks are intensifying as President Trump pushes for peace, trying to set up a face-to-face meeting between Ukraine's President Zelensky and Russia's President Putin. In a small village near the front lines, Mark Antal, a retired American special operations soldier, is teaching first aid to the families of Ukrainian troops.
The wars I fought don't exist anymore.
Antal has been coming to Ukraine nearly every month since Russia invaded. He says Russia's war now is driven by drones.
What's that like? The difference between fighting people versus a robot flying in the sky that you can't see?
I think that is where you're seeing a lot of psychological damage here in the country. The constant fear of always looking around because you don't know what direction it's going to come from.
Russian troops have been making slow but steady advances in Ukraine over the last 2 months, even as President Trump pushes to end the conflict, leading many Ukrainians to suspect Vladimir Putin isn't interested in a deal at all. Richard Engel, NBC News, Kharkiv, Ukraine.
Okay, next night, a passing note back here at home of prominent conservative religious leader James Dobson, who died today. An advisor to 5 presidents, Dobson reached millions daily through his group Focus on the Family, championing traditional values through decades of societal change. He was 89 years old. When Top Story returns tonight, remembering the man known as the nicest judge in the world, his courtroom compassion propelling him into a social media sensation. We spoke to his son about his legacy. And the NFL quarterback, overcome with emotion. He didn't have much growing up, but now his life is forever changed. You're going to love that story. But first, Top Story's top moment, and a powerful moment between father and daughter. Ava Cooper was born with multiple heart defects, needing 4 heart surgeries by the time she turned 5. In 2024, when Ava was 11, doctors decided a heart transplant was the best option. After waiting 215 days, young Ava learned a donor heart was available, and doctors wanted her to tell her dad over video chat. Take a look.
Daddy?
What?
I'm getting a heart.
What?
I'm getting a heart.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Hi.
Ava was treated at Cleveland Clinic Children, where that heart transplant was successful. She has returned home and is looking forward to returning to school in the coming weeks, and we will be praying for her and her family on that recovery. Stay with us. We're back in just a moment. A federal judge today ruling that Alina Habba, President Trump's former personal lawyer and the acting U.S. attorney for New Jersey, has been serving without legal authority for more than a month. Habba said Trump loyalist was elevated in a complicated series of legal maneuvers. Today's decision laying the groundwork for a potential review of the Trump administration's method for installing some top prosecutors around the country. And authorities say the father of Boston Celtics star Jaylen Brown is accused of stabbing someone in Las Vegas yesterday evening. Police saying the victim was transported to the hospital and is in critical condition. 57-year-old Quentin M. Brown was arrested and booked in the Clark County Detention Center. He is there in suspicious of attempted murder. And another terrifying moment caught on camera when a masked robber attacks a woman in a California Costco parking lot. Look at this. The woman loading her groceries into the trunk. When a man comes up behind her, look how violent this is, grabbing her and throwing her to the ground. The man then runs away with her purse. You see the woman chase after him. Police say 2 minors were arrested after robbing someone else an hour later. And days before the college football season begins, the University of Notre Dame unveiling a new logo for one of the most successful programs in sports history. The school revealing the logo today, showing its iconic Irishman with its fist down and a football up, putting the focus on the game in the school's first logo change in 61 years. The Fighting Irishman is synonymous with Notre Dame. A spokesperson saying the new logo is merely a secondary option. Even though they have a new logo, many University of Miami fans like myself still say they're going to lose when they play the Canes coming up in a couple weeks. That is some breaking news in that redistricting battle brewing across the country. Democrats in California moving to pass new maps to increase their numbers in Congress after Texas Republicans took a dramatic step to boost the GOP. Here's Ryan Chandler.
Tonight, California Democrats counterpunch. The state assembly passing a new voting map designed to add 5 more Democratic members of Congress from the state.
But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire.
The move a response to Republicans in Texas, the redistricted congressional seats there, hoping to add 5 more Republican seats. California Republicans blasting the Democrats' move.
Well, the problem when you fight fire with fire is you burn it all down.
Texas took the unusual step to change its congressional districts in the middle of a decade with the encouragement of President Trump, aimed at keeping GOP control of Congress.
I think there's tremendous support for it. And, you know, we've watched the Democrats destroy our country in 4 years.
It's a gerrymandering power play carried out by both parties, moving states even farther out of proportion from where their voters are. In red Texas, 42% of voters chose Kamala Harris in 2024, but just about a third of the state's members of Congress are Democrats. We pressed a Republican lawmaker. That's fair representation.
No question it is. You look at California, Illinois, and Massachusetts, not a lot of squealing about fairness there, where they're vastly overrepresented.
In blue California, President Trump won nearly 40% of the vote, but Republicans hold just 17% of the state's seats in Congress.
Ryan Chandler joins us tonight from Austin. Ryan, so that legislation has now been signed by Governor Newsom. What's next?
So we saw a defiant press conference from Governor Newsom just in the last few minutes, where he made clear that this was retaliation, not unilateral action. Here in Texas, we're still waiting on the Texas Senate to pass these maps. That's going to be a rubber stamp, Tom. There's no question about what they do. They could do it as soon as tonight. The governor trying to sign this as soon as he can, could be as soon as the end of this week, Tom.
All right, Ryan Chandler for us again tonight in Texas. Ryan, we thank you. Now to a story making headlines right here in New York City, and it is bizarre. A reporter handed a potato chip bag stuffed with cash from a close advisor to embattled New York Mayor Eric Adams. The incident first reported out by independent local news site The City, the outlet publishing this photo on their website from reporter Katie Honan. You see the open bag of hers sour cream and onion potato chips right there, and you see what's inside. A lot of moolah. Inside a red envelope full of cash, the outlet says included at least one $100 bill and several $20 bills. For more on this, the reporter who was handed that bag of chips and the cash, a good friend of mine, we worked together many years ago, Katie Honan. So great to see you. So, Katie, just walk us through the story. This is so wild. A close advisor to Eric Adams sends you a text, and take it from there.
So Winnie Greco is someone who I've reported on, me and my outlet, we reported on extensively. She worked for the mayor, and last fall she actually left. Her homes had been raided by the FBI. We believe she's still under some sort of investigation. So I've written a lot about her, and I know her through that. And when I see her at Eric Adams' campaign events, which I've seen at every event, I talk to her because you understand it as a reporter. I just want to talk to her. So I saw her at this event yesterday in Harlem. She sees me again. She tells me to call her. I see her from across the street, and I meet her, and then we walk into a Whole Foods, and that is where the potato chip bag was put in my hands by her.
So is she eating potato chips, or she just hands you the potato chips?
She just hands me an open bag, and the top's kind of crumpled closed, and I just took it as hospitality, and I refused it multiple times, and I said, no, I don't want the chips. But at a certain point, she really insisted. We spoke for a few minutes inside the supermarket. We parted. I tried again to give her the chips. She refused. And then I walked.
Did you know there was something in the chips? I mean, it seems like you really want to get rid of these chips.
I just didn't want any. I didn't want the chips. And I had no idea. I got to the top of the 125th Street subway station, and I looked in, and that's when I saw that red envelope. I hoped there was a note with information in it, but instead it was money. And then.
Because sometimes that happens with reporters. Sometimes things are sort of given to you that way. When you see the cash, what do you think?
I panicked because I did not want anything to do with this money. I called my editor. I called her to see if she was still in the Whole Foods to give it back. And then my editors decided, let's just come meet us in the newsroom and we'll figure it out from there. And we reported the money. And I was too afraid to count it in the street or in the subway. And then I was too afraid to touch it after that. So we didn't even get an exact accounting.
Because look, so people know, Katie, because maybe our viewers may not be familiar with your reporting. You have been reporting for a long time. You've been out of the streets. You've broken a lot of stories. But this is the first time something like this has happened. So it's weird.
It is the first time. It felt like cinematic that someone would try to hand me money in a potato chip bag. There were chips in the bag. You can kind of see it in the photo. So she didn't eat them all.
And then you didn't do anything with the chips or the money. What did you do with the bag? Where is it now? Do we know?
We brought everything to my newsroom, and we contacted a citywide investigative agency, the Department of Investigation, which we believe was still looking into things that Winnie allegedly did when she was a city employee. They've referred it to further authorities. So they have all of that. So
did Winnie get back to you? Has she said anything? Has she put out a statement about why she gave you a potato chip bag full of cash?
She and her lawyer told us, my colleagues who wrote the story, that this was, in her culture, Chinese culture, a sign of friendship, and she just wanted to be my friend. And I understand in Chinese culture, for Lunar New Year, for Mid-Autumn festivals, for weddings, sometimes there's an exchange of a red envelope. But these were none of those things.
And it was concealed, right? It was in a potato chip bag, which is not part of the culture. I'm not an expert, but
it's not. And this, again, I think her naivete with it, I don't know if it's real or if it's sort of masked in terms of what she was intending, which I still don't know what she was intending to do.
Here's maybe the tougher question. I know this is weird because you're a reporter, but I'm going to ask you the tough question. Do you know why she may have tried to bribe you?
I don't know. I don't know what her intent was, whether it was a short-term intent or a long-term intent. She said she wanted to be friends. I just wanted to talk to her, and it did not require any money.
Got it. So that's why it was so surprising to you. It wasn't like, hey, don't report this out, or don't. There were no instructions. It was just here.
Yeah, and I know through the course of our reporting on Winnie, we've heard some anecdotes of money being exchanged in similar ways. So in a weird way, to have it confirmed to me that way was odd.
On that point, this is not the only person, as you know, in Adams' orbit, and this may be sort of new to our viewers, that is under scrutiny. Adams' former chief advisor, Ingrid Lewis-Martin, I know we have video of this, now accused by the Manhattan DA of taking $75,000 in bribes, that's a lot of potato chip bags, while serving in the Adams administration. With scandal after scandal, what will voters, do you think, make of all this? I mean, because this is going to be a tough race to begin with for him. Like, how does this affect the election, you think?
It's already, as you said, an incredibly tough race for Mayor Adams. He's an incumbent. For him, there's no power of the incumbency. And he has a lot to deal with, especially these people who have been very, very close to him. Ingrid and Winnie were very good friends. He called Ingrid and Winnie sisters of his. Ingrid was indicted in December for something separate. And in the indictment today also included someone who's currently a staffer who just today resigned. So there's a lot of things that voters can look at that can question Mayor Adams' ethics.
Katie, while I have you here, tell us real quickly about the city, because you mentioned it briefly. So our viewers can go check it out online if they want to get interested in the city.
So the city is a nonprofit newsroom. We've been around since 2019. We are small but mighty. We do a lot of investigative stories, and we've really covered the Adams administration very aggressively. But we are a nonprofit, so I joke that, you know, we are looking for donations, just not in potato chip bags.
I get it. Katie Hoening, you've been doing a great job. Congratulations on all your reporting, and thanks for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. Great to see you. Yeah. Friends, family, and fans of the man known as the world's nicest judge tonight, mourning his passing. Frank Caprio was known for his kindness he brought to the courtroom, with clips of his show shared millions of times online. NBC's Valerie Castro spoke to Caprio's son tonight about the legacy his dad leaves behind.
All right. From his courtroom bench, Rhode Island TV judge Frank Caprio rarely imposed punishment,
That is dismissed.
but rather offered up compassion.
I'm sure you have the strength and the courage to rise above them. The one thing you don't have to worry about are these tickets. Thank you.
Delivered respect,
We appreciate your service in Vietnam.
and could make a courtroom full of nervous defendants and sometimes their families smile.
How about 5 days in jail?
Tonight, America mourning the man who had an unwavering belief in the goodness of people.
I don't wear a badge under my robe. I wear a heart under my robe.
Caprio was known for the Emmy-nominated show Caught in Providence, which ran for decades,
If I get stuck again, will you come up and help me?
highlighting his empathy for defendants in his courtroom.
I only drive when I have to. I was going to the blood work for my boy. He's handicapped.
You were taking your son to the doctor's office?
Yeah, I take him for blood work every 2 weeks because he's got cancer.
You are a good man. You really are what America is all about. Your case is dismissed.
Wholesome moments going viral on social media, generating millions of views and earning him the title, the nicest judge in the world.
It really baffled my father why people sometimes chose not to be kind.
What do you think he would want to be remembered for the most?
I think he'd want to be remembered as a good family man, kind of the everyman's man. Being kind to somebody can, in some instances, actually change their life. And it's not difficult to be kind.
The son of an Italian immigrant and fruit peddler, Caprio was the first of his 40 cousins to go to college, crediting his parents with his path to justice.
I did nothing different than what my father and mother taught me to do.
Judge Caprio's family announcing his passing at the age of 88 after a battle with pancreatic cancer, just a day after he'd asked followers from a hospital bed for their prayers.
So I ask you again, if it's not too much, that you can remember me in your prayers.
His son thanking fans for their outpouring of love and urging everyone to spread a little kindness.
Justice should have compassion built in. He understood that there's real people behind decisions that are made.
Something Caprio deeply believed in, even in his final moments.
Enjoy what you have. Be kind to people. Take care of your families.
Valerie Castro, NBC News.
We are back now with Top Stories Global Watch. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying Israel will resume peace talks as military operations escalate in Gaza City. Netanyahu confirming plans to capture Gaza City, hoping to continue negotiations on releasing hostages and ending the war. This while Israel launched strikes today, intensifying its offensive. New Zealand convicting a soldier for espionage for the first time in the country's history. The soldier who was discharged from the army was sentenced to 2 years in military prison after pleading guilty. Court documents show the man communicated military and security information to a foreign agent in 2019. The soldier's name and the country he passed secrets to, though, are still concealed. Finally tonight, the emotional moment for Chicago Bears quarterback Tyson Bagent, a life-changing contract bringing him to tears as he shared with reporters how the money will change his family's life. When Chicago Bears backup quarterback Tyson Bagent signed a $10 million contract extension Wednesday, it didn't just change his life. It changed everything for his family back in Martinsburg, West Virginia, too. Just listen to how he describes it.
Yeah, I think that, a lot of people don't know this, but, my dad is he's my right-hand man, and he didn't even have running water until he was in high school. So there's definitely a lot of things and people that I think I could certainly help with this gift I've been blessed with. I don't really know anybody back at home with any money. So, yeah, it feels good. I mean, it's certainly a weight off my shoulders and my family's shoulders.
And there's one more reason that raise is going to come in handy.
I got a little baby girl on the way, so I'm not really trying to buy nothing too crazy right now.
Bagent often credits his parents for his success, It can't hurt that strong arms run in the family. His dad is a world champion arm wrestler. Bajent played D2 college football 10 minutes from his home at Shepherd University, and he entered the NFL as an undrafted free agent. He signed with the Bears as a fourth-string quarterback in 2023. His coaches say what he's brought to the team ever since is worth every penny of that new deal.
To just put my head down and work and to get, where I am now, I mean, it's, too much to put into words.
What a moment. We thank you for watching Top Story. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.